Bob starts us out in Orlando. Hey, Bob, welcome to the Dave Ramsey Show.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you taking my call. It's a pleasure to speak with you.
You too, sir. What's up?
My dilemma is this. My wife and I have been married for about 13 years now. We have 3 children, 6, 4, and 2. I guess the bottom line is I listen to a lot of the debt-free screens and everything, and I hear the couples talk about how important it is to work as a team and how it made it all come together, and they were both driving for this, pushing for this common goal. And it makes me really jealous, honestly, because I just have a real tough time. I've had a real tough time for a long time. My wife and I, I've always been the financial person, and she just does whatever she needs, takes care of household expenses. She's a stay-at-home mom. She purchases all the groceries and general shopping and things. And but I take care of all the bills. Well, we're now to a point where once we started having kids, straightly after school, I paid off about $80,000 worth of debt in about 3 years. But once we started having children, I had to relax a little bit because we had new expenses. I didn't know where all that was going, and it's gotten just completely out of control over the past few years. And we've really reached a stalemate on our ability to budget. But I feel like we're in a great financial position to be extremely financially healthy, but I'm a one-man team, and we seem to be fighting ourselves here. Every conversation about finances just leads to a fight. And,
what does a fight sound like? What are the points and counterpoints?
I've tried to get her to see the overall goal and understand financial independence and where we want to be when we retire. And, do we want to be broke or do we want to be in a good financial health? And she doesn't get it. So I've tried to come up with budgets and say, okay, well, if you can just spend this amount of money a month, I'll take care of the rest. I'll get us out of debt. I'll do everything. Just spend X amount of dollars a month. And she just doesn't seem to understand the value of a budget. It seems that her defense mechanisms always pop up, and they're always the same. It's you're bullying me. You're telling me I'm not responsible enough to make responsible financial decisions.
Are you?
You're treating me like a child.
Are you?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I don't feel that. I don't think
What's her
so
parent?
either.
What's her family of origin history? Or her parents act this way?
No, she was raised by her grandparents. Her grandfather is a farmer, and he's worn the same clothes for 35 years.
But did her grandmother play the script in front of her?
Well, no, her grandmother was I guess her grandmother was a bit of a spender, but she only spent her own income, and she was a nurse. She didn't make a tremendous amount of money, so it wasn't a lavish lifestyle for her or anything by any means, but definitely didn't teach her financial, understanding money.
Okay, well, here's the thing. You guys have a communication complete meltdown here, and it's beyond a budget. It's beyond that, because if that script that you're playing for me, if that routine is coming out, it's coming out in other areas too. It's not just coming out in the money. I mean, because, in other words, if you have any input on the way something's done with a kid, then she goes into that same mode.
Well, fortunately, it's really only about money. I think our relationship is very solid in all other aspects. We've agreed.
It's not either because she feels bullied when you start talking about one thing, and so that's just not true. I mean, something is causing her to fall off the edge into a hole that she can't seem to get out of in this discussion, and that's just a little weird, Bob. So anyway, two things. Number one is, if I were in your shoes, what would I do? I think you guys need a tune-up on your marriage, and I would sit down with a good marriage counselor, because I think you're probably saying things in a way that's activating crap inside of her. And I don't know that I don't think you're doing that on purpose after talking to you. I don't think there's malice in your heart. But you are, you're like me. You're two things. One is you're nerdy enough, and two is you're strong enough personality and have square enough shoulders, big enough backbone that you're like, to heck with it. I'll just carry it then. It's easier than dealing with all this crap. And I'm just going to go get it done, and I'll just give her an allowance, and that's all we can do. Well, you can do that, but A, you're not going to win at the level you should with money, and B, it's a relationship disaster. it's really going to get worse. It's not going to get better on your relationship with this issue. So I really, if I were in your shoes, I would want to sit down with her, with a good marriage counselor, and say, hey, we got to work through this together, because I'm not trying to bully you, and I don't know why you're hearing that, and I need some help with that, and I need you to be there to help me with that. And so we're going to sit down with a pastor, we're going to sit down with whoever, the counselor at the church, and see if we can begin to work through that. So that's thing one. Thing two, more practical, or not more practical, but more tactical thing is, I would just go a different tact on it and just say, I'm really tired of being the only one making the decisions, and I need your help, and I need your input, and I need you to have a vote, and tell me what your goals for the future are and how you think we ought to accomplish them, and try to get her to talk and ask questions. Don't make statements, and don't ask passive-aggressive questions that are actually statements. Don't ask a question like, you do want to retire rich, don't you? And that's a passive aggressive statement. So anyway, just ask questions and try to get her to actually plug in, because apparently somewhere in the process of putting together a budget, she does not feel like her vote counts. And I know you would agree with that. She, for whatever reason, she doesn't feel like her vote counts. She doesn't feel like she has control of this scenario at all. And so she doesn't want to play. Does that make sense?
A little, I guess. Right now, her just general shopping averages over the past couple of years $2,500 to $3,000 a month.
That's a symptom. That's not the problem. If she has a vote and she is one of the two adults that's responsible for this household winning with money, and she helps define winning with money, and then she looks down and sees that her shopping is too high, she will limit her shopping. You will never do that as an external variable, an external thing. That's got to come from inside of her being involved in the decision making. And then she'll look at it and go, well, that's ridiculous. We make $3,500 a month. We can't spend $2,500 shopping, and I can't do that. And that's what an adult does when they look at something. Now, if you're dealing with somebody who is bent on being a princess, you got another problem. But I don't think that's what's going on here. So I'm going to say pull her into the equation, lots of questions. Don't bring up what she spends ever again. Ask lots of questions and pull her into the conversation. If that doesn't work, and even if it does work, get a tune-up on your marriage.